over 200,000 listeners. And listen, we want you to listen in. We want you to join in on the chat tonight. Put your username in there and ask my speaker, my guest questions, ask me questions, make some comments. We would love to hear from you. But without further ado, oh my word, when I tell y'all I'm excited about tonight, I am excited. Y'all better be excited with me because I have someone so phenomenal and special coming on tonight. Marquette is a minister. You know, this woman of God, she's just amazing. Marquette Walker, she's an inspirational speaker. She's a coach. She's an author. I mean, she do some of everything. She a CEO, president. Marquette L Walker Ministries, and she's just awesome. You know, her whole thought process and mindset is destined for greatness, and that's part of her branding. She owns this company. She does event planning. She has Marquette Closet. I need to get on up in that closet because I've seen her outfits, and I'm like, oh yeah, we got to become besties because I need to go up in there. But she's just super. She has a great spirit. She has a wonderful husband. I've had a chance to meet Gabrielle Walker as well. Gabriel Walker. She'll pronounce his name right. But he's an awesome man of God, supports her. She's phenomenal, and she has a lot to say on tonight. So without further ado, I know I can go on and say a whole lot more about her. But without further ado, I want to bring on this wonderful author. She's this book that she wrote. I have this book with me, and I'm telling you right now, that thing is hot. And I'm going to make sure she tell us how you can get that book in your hand as well. But her whole theme tonight is divorced but not defeated. Divorced but not defeated. Come on, woman of God, tell us a little bit about yourself that we didn't mention.
Well, first and foremost, I would like to honor you for allowing me to be on such an amazing platform and to spend time with you for the next hour to tell my story. So thank you so much for that. But God has entrusted me with so many hats. I am a mother, I'm a wife to Gabriel, and you had it right the second time.
Okay.
Gabriel Walker. I am a mom of two young men. They are 29 and 30. I can't even believe that they're that old now. And then I'm a bonus mom to 4, and they're ranging from 10. Wait, we have a 10, we have a 13, we have a 21 and a 22 year old. And then I am a Gigi to 4. I told them they need to stop because I need to stay a Gigi. I'm gonna need them to stop adding so many to me. But awesome grandbabies, ranging from age 4 to 10, and then a bonus grandmother to two younger ones. So God has truly blessed me. As far as that, He has entrusted me with all of these children and grandbabies. So I'm grateful for that. I am, as you stated, I am a minister at Lighthouse Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Where Pastor Delk and Pastor Keisha are the lead pastors there. I'm also a coach of winning women, and we'll talk about that more. That's my thing. We need more women to win. So I definitely want to talk about that. As you stated, Marquette's Closet, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about that. Marquette's Closet started because I lost a substantial amount of weight. And so I had clothes that I wore maybe once. Some still had tags on them, and they were all too big. So I decided to sell them at a discounted rate to women because women want to look good. They want to win from the inside, but also want to win on the outside as well. So we got started. And then, as you know, inspirational speaker, my coach is Dr. Tabitha Russell.
Yes.
And she is so amazing, and she has gotten me to the point where I am now. And actually, I was prophesied to last year when I first told my story. I would not tell anybody my story because I would just walk around with shame for so long. But I finally told the story, and I was prophesied to that I will meet someone that's going to help me perfect my story. And that happened 2 months after that. And that's when I met Dr. Tabitha Russell. And I've just been moving full steam ahead since then, speaking on some amazing platforms.
That is just so awesome. It's obvious that you live to tell the story. And I love the way I know we were in Baltimore at the Dr. Mercia's event, and you were one of the speakers. And I thought your story was just so fabulous and flawless. And you don't look like what you've been through. And as you were sharing, I was like, no way. And Dr. Tabitha, she's a good friend of mine. She's been on the platform as well, speaking about finances. And so we know a lot of the same people. So I'm beyond honored to have the woman of God in the building on tonight. And you definitely have something to say. And I'm praying and believing that women will join in to hear, because you're going to speak to my heart on tonight as well. I've been divorced before and in massive transitions right now. So I know that you have something to say that's going to impact me and the listeners in a very profound way. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Do you feel at home yet?
I do. I feel at home. I'm ready to go. I'm like, this is my sister on here. We just hanging out tonight.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So first, before I jump into some questions that I have for you, and I feel confident that you are answered them all, exceptionally well. As I was pulling together questions, I was thinking about my life, other women's lives, people that I don't even know who have been through divorce, and some of the guilt, the shame, the hurt, the fear, the doubt, the unbelief.
Okay.
Before we jump into all that, Marquette, I want you to just share a snippet of your story. I want the people to understand why you coming up in here hot, why you are qualified, why you are certified, why you are backed by God to be able to share with us Divorced but Not Defeated in your book. Let's start out by asking, how did that book come to fruition?
Oh my goodness. So first and foremost, I tell everyone this is a story that God gave me. He just chose me to live it out because he knew I would tell it eventually. And so how did it come to fruition? Basically, I had to overcome shame, the fear, the guilt, and forgive myself in order to get this story on paper, because you can't walk around with shame, unforgiveness, and fear and guilt. You can't do that and put your story on paper, because it's not going to come out the way it needs to come out. But just a little snippet about my story. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be some Bible scholars out there listening. But for the ones that are not, I know you guys probably heard of the woman at the well. And then for the ones who are not the Bible scholars, she's found in John chapter 4. Well, I was labeled as the modern day woman at the well. The woman at the well was married 5 times. Well, I was married 5 times as well. Well, I'm on my 5th marriage right now. And people look like, what? I can barely get my first one and she got 5. How did this happen? Well, I'm going to tell you, when you don't know who you are, when you don't know what marriage means. And let me just back up a little bit. I was born and raised in the church, born and raised. So we went to church, Sunday school. We was there Sunday service, Sunday night service. We were there Tuesday. We was there Thursday. We was there Friday. Oh, and don't let it be a revival. We're there 7, maybe 10-day revival. So anyway, I know church. I was born and raised in it. And so while I was growing up in the church, I saw these awesomely amazing marriages. Oh, they loving, and they always kissing it. Honey this and baby this, sweetheart this, honey, I got it. And so I saw that growing up. And so all I kept saying is, one day that's going to be me. Because, we start thinking about our fairy tale wedding when we're young girls. We'd be like, oh, I want my marriage to look, I'm going to have this big old fairy tale wedding. And I'm going to tell you, every wedding was a fairy tale wedding. I went all out. And you would think like, oh, by the second time you're going to scale back. No, ma'am, I wasn't scaling back. I was going to have exactly what I wanted to have, right? But I saw that, but no one told me a marriage, you have to cultivate, you have to fertilize that ground, you have to till it up. It takes grace, it takes forgiveness, it takes trust, it takes all these things. which I did not have. So then I learned that I didn't have accountability at that time. Just simply no accountability. You mess over me, you done. So I didn't have any grace. I didn't have any patience, and I definitely didn't have any forgiveness. But as the journey went on, God was he was getting me prepared. He was letting me know, all the things that I needed and the things that I did not have. But I'm gonna tell you, it stemmed from my story stemmed from childhood trauma. To be married that many times, you gotta know, there's something going on. There's something you didn't learn about marriage, right? And so my mom and my dad, and when I speak of childhood trauma, it was from my mom and my dad. They were married for about 18 years. It was 18 years. And no one, a child, they never want to see their parents get divorced. As a child, you want to see your parents live forever, and you live these happy. And we had an amazing life when we were growing up. But boy, when that divorce came, we saw our mother. 18 years. You pretty much know the ins and outs. And as I stated, she was snatching her wigs off, taking her teeth out, putting them on the counter, doing all that because you know the ins and outs. Well, you think you do. You think you know the ins and the outs of your parents' story, or they know the ins and outs of what they have going on, but that was not the case. And so we saw our mom hurt. I can't even tell you how bad my mother hurt. We saw her cry. She had to deal with the rejection, the abandonment. And as a little child, for myself, I could speak about myself, how I internalize all of that. All the my mom went through, the rejection, all of that. I internalize it, and I carry that through my life. So that's where the trust. Oh yeah, I don't trust too many people. So that kind of messed up personal relationship, business relationships, and church relationships, because I didn't really trust, and I had to heal from that point. But first of all, like I stated earlier, I had to first of all heal from the shame, the guilt, the fear, and holding myself accountable in order to get this story on paper. And that's how it came to fruition. But I would tell you the details of each one and how I was able to get to that point.
Wow. That's a lot. I like the fact too that part of our healing is being able to go back and pinpoint. We can't do it all the time, but when we can pinpoint what was that pivotal moment, whether it was a pivot for the worst or a pivot for the best, what was that moment that changed the trajectory of how we saw marriage, how we saw ourselves, how we dealt with our internal emotions, and for you to be able to know that. And I'm sure now, as you coach and counsel other women who are going through divorce or who have been through a divorce, you help guide them to that point of understanding what happened and what took place. So with that being said, what strategies can individuals use to stay positive and motivated after going through a divorce?
So I tell one, first and foremost, is you have to have a relationship with God. That's number one, because that's the only way you're going to be able to stay positive. Because that's a death. Divorce is a death. Now, and I have 4 of them. And so you have to first and foremost, have a relationship with God. And then once you have that relationship with God, now you're feeling the love of God. You're knowing that God loves you in spite of what you've been through. And so if you understand all of that, then that's going to take you to the place of loving yourself the way you need to love yourself. And then at the end of the day, you'll be able to love someone else, because you can't love nobody without loving yourself. Right?
Come on.
And to allow God to show you who you are. And then once he shows you that and give you all those downloads and the information you need, then you'll be able to move on to the next point.
So self-love is important. Self-care. What would you say when I think about self-love? I think about self-care. Like even today, I took half of the day and just stayed at the spa. I don't know if you've been to the Umstead over there in Cary. Well, you gotta go. We gotta go together.
Okay.
But I took half of the day, and they have all the amenities, and you can stay there for a couple of hours after your service, and hot tub, sauna, jacuzzi, whatever. And I had my book. I journal a lot, and so for me, in the transitions that I'm walking through, I'm making sure that I'm being kind to myself.
Absolutely.
Self-care means, affirmations for myself.
Mhm.
What are some ways that you would say that women could be kind to themselves? Like what are some of the things that you did for you while you were walking through those divorces?
You know what? First and foremost, I had to forgive myself, because if you don't forgive yourself, you're holding. So unforgiveness is a
Mm,
root to bitterness, hatred, all those things. So remember, you're not going to be able to love yourself if you're still holding on to unforgiveness, and then you're allowing these other seeds to sprout up. So first and foremost is forgiving yourself. No matter what has happened, you still have to forgive yourself, because then we'll start
mhm,
to we start to fault ourselves for the divorce.
mhm,
And
mhm,
even if it might be somewhere in there that we did something, but we still have to forgive ourselves. So that's first and
mhm,
foremost. And then how do we love ourselves? That self-care is so important.
mhm,
So once you learn to love yourself, then the affirmations, this is what I teach.
mhm,
Meditation, journaling. You have to do these things to put some stuff on paper, and then make sure that, like for me, I had to love myself. I gained so much weight in one of my marriages. I just lost myself. And
mhm,
so, and when I went through the divorce, I had to get to a place
mhm,
of forgiveness so I can practice that self-care for myself, that I will be able to lose the weight and start looking like somebody, because we lose
mhm,
ourselves. A lot of
mhm,
times when we get married, we turn into versions of ourselves. It ain't even the
mhm,
real us. We got layers of versions
mhm,
of ourselves that we have to peel back. And so I would definitely recommend is first getting in alignment with God. Letting
mhm,
him show you what that true love is. And then you can be able to love yourself and stay kind to yourself, which means that's going to the spa, getting your hair done, getting your makeup for no reason. Get dressed
mhm,
up for no reason. And I tell people, you never know when you will meet your spouse. Is that hope, having that hope, that glimmer of hope, stand right there. Because most of us, we want to be married, we want a mate, and we want to do it
mhm,
the right way. So we want to be married, right? And
mhm,
so you just never know when you get to that right place, after loving and being kind to yourself, dressing up, getting your hair done, getting your makeup done for no reason, and just go out by yourself, right? You
mhm.
never know. You might meet your mate, right? You
I love it. I love this. I love this. I love your energy and your attitude, because my first thought would be, I know for me, yeah, feeling like
yourself.
Are you there, McQuaid?
Uh-huh. I'm here.
Okay. I think you faded out.
Okay.
I'm loving what you're saying, because your energy is just on point. I'm talking to a woman who understands her value and her worth. And even when you shared about gaining the weight, and losing yourself in the marriage, one of the
Mhm.
marriages, and then coming to an understanding that you can just get your makeup done because you're not having a photo shoot, but you want to feel beautiful, and then doing the inner work. I love the fact that you are a woman of God. You're a woman of faith, and you're teaching this, you're ministering this, you're
Yes.
talking to Christian women, you're talking to non-Christian women, you're
Yes.
coaching women to understand their value and their worth. How did you move past the people, the naysayers, that tried to put shame on you, even though God was healing you from being ashamed or
Right.
guilty? How did you move beyond the people?
Well, when you love yourself, it's easy. And when you know your worth, and you know what you have on the inside of you, and you know God is the ultimate, and you know he loves you in spite of what you've been through, you don't
Mm,
care what nobody say. Y'all gonna talk regardless. Y'all gonna talk whether I'm looking pretty or not looking pretty.
Okay, I think she faded out again. This is so
The ones
good.
that are saying stuff, right? So we don't worry about the naysayers, but I had them. I had them. She's in love with the idea of marriage. She how many marriages she on? One or three, four? Wow. She can sure keep them, but she can't. She can sure get them, but she can't keep them. Or wow, she been married 5 times. I can't even get one. So I had to hear all of that, all of that.
Well,
But you know what? I let them know I can get them, and God's gonna give me that one that's gonna stay, right?
come
I can
on.
keep.
Well,
Yes, so that's where we are right now. But yes, they're going to talk. People going to talk regardless, and we just have to get to a place that we don't hear, or we're unbothered by whatever the people are saying, because they not paying. They're not signing no paychecks. They're not doing anything. Most of the people, they have no connection to us, or maybe they do. But the ultimate person, the ultimate that we care about is God. Whatever God says, that's what it is, right? We don't care about what nobody else got to say.
Girl, you
They,
dropping some knowledge on tonight. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. And I love what you said. We have to become unbothered. So I just want to say to people out there, and I'm looking at the chat, we got some people joining us on tonight and they're enjoying this. Hey, music. Music says, yes, yes. Self-love, self-care is so important to put first in our lives. She said, I agree for sure. Contessa's waving her hands in the air. Yes, yes, yes. Bridget, so good to have you on tonight as well. And we know we got others that are watching in, but jump in the chat, ask questions. Again, Marquette is an evangelist. She's a woman of faith. She's a coach. She's an author. She wrote the book, Divorced But Not Defeated. She's just magnificent, and you see and sense her energy in this platform. And I'm so honored to have her here with us on tonight. And if you have questions, jump in the chat. I know this is going to go by so fast, and I have so many questions. Oh my goodness. So a question I have for you, woman of faith. You talked a lot about self-care, self-love, and I know that ties in with rebuilding self-esteem and confidence after a divorce. And it may not be a divorce, it may be a bad breakup. It may be someone that you've been with, listener, for years, and now you're apart, and it feels like a divorce. In rebuilding that self-esteem, Marquette, you said you lost a lot of weight because in one of the marriages, you said that you gained a lot of weight. What prompted you to say, I need to lose this weight? Was it affecting your self-esteem?
It was. It affected my health. It affected my self-esteem. Oh, absolutely. Because I would go to the store, wanted one outfit, but they didn't have my size because I was too big, and not only that, we want to be pretty. We want to look good. And when you come into yourself after a divorce, oh, you really want to look good because you want to let them know, oh, you didn't break me. You tried it, but it didn't work, right? You tried it. But so yes, it affected my esteem. I just did not feel myself. And then it also affected my health. So when things start to affect your health, your self-esteem, you definitely want to start working on those things.
Wow, that is awesome. And girl, you look amazing. Hunty, I've seen you in the flesh at our last event, and you look wonderful. One of the things I said to Miss Walker, I said, you don't look like what you've been through. And I know you realize that, and I know people around you realize that as well. You certainly don't look like you have had 4 divorces. And I just praise God that I met your husband, and I can tell he's a man of faith, and he was there helping you, serving you in the process, and you were acknowledging him. Oh, what joy. I love this. I love this. I love this. Are there any supports or resources that you would recommend for women or men going through divorce?
Yeah, I would recommend anyone to get with any support groups at their church, even outside of church for the ones that, because we gotta cover all bases. So even the ones that don't go to church, there's resources for divorced women or divorced men or grief in a divorce. I mean, grief in separation. Maybe they were not married, but they've been together, like you said, been together for a while. I would recommend anyone to look for those type of support groups, because the thing is talking about it. What happens is the enemy wants us to be bound with it, so we don't want to talk about it. So that's where that shame and all that other stuff comes in. And so we're walking around with this heavy weight, which is weighing us down, and we can't get to the place or our purpose where God has called us to be or want us to go, because we're so weighted down and we don't want to talk about it. But we have to talk about it, because you can't heal from something that you don't talk about.
Oof. I like
So
that. You go ahead. Yeah, that's good.
No, so that's one thing, and I tell that a lot. If you don't reveal what you don't reveal, you can't heal from. So you want to talk about it, whether it's on you or on them. Talk about it, release that, and that's where we get tricked. And oh, I'm walking around so much shame. You're holding it on the inside, and we don't understand that it's making us sick on the inside. You know, as a child, we used to be told, "What goes on in this house stays in this house," right? And we grow up living that, but that's not true. We need to release what we have been through. And then also we have to understand what we go through is not for us. It's to help somebody else. No matter how tough it may be. And my story is really, as you know, is really heavy, but as heavy as it is to help someone else. I'm going to tell you, Dr. Tammie, I did not know it was so many people going through multiple divorces like myself. Whether it was a couple times, 3 times, I even heard of 4 or 5. And I'm like, really? The enemy will make you think you're the only one dealing with what you're dealing with, and you're not. And you're not.
And you know, the reason why I wanted to bring you to the show, Mindset to Millions, someone may say, well, what does this have to do with having a mindset for millions? What does this have to do with having a sustainable business? Everything affects everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so trauma, you know, disappointment, shame, guilt, all of that. The reason why this woman of faith is on tonight, because you're literally pulling somebody out of the closet, out of the shame, out of the guilt, out of the why me? Why did I have to go through this? Because it affects your money, even how you see yourself, self-esteem, you know, even the noise of people talking and gossiping about you and so forth. And so I love the fact that you all have you have a blended family. You shared that earlier. How can someone navigate co-parenting, you know, and maintaining a positive relationship, if at all possible, with their ex-spouse, if they have children together or they're blended families and there's a spouse on the other side? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I think it's important for healthy boundaries to be set. Number one, respect is the number one key. It is all about respect. I respect you, you respect me, but most importantly, those boundaries are set in place. This is what we have established, and this is what we're going to follow. But we have to respect those boundaries that are set forth. And I think for me, being a woman of God, is very important for me not to be looking at a person sideways. We have got to show the love of God in every single thing that we do. Every single thing that we do. It is very important, because even they are watching. People are always watching it. Anytime you put a label on yourself, or you have a title of minister, evangelist, they're watching you even the more, right? And so when it comes to blended families, it is important that we stay in alignment with what God is telling us. And that is loving in spite of, because I know divorce is hard already by itself. Then you have children, and then you have to deal with the other person's mate, right? And first of all, you're already feeling some kind of way because you're divorced. You're going through a divorce, or in a divorce. But we have got to rise above that. Divorce didn't work. It didn't work. We didn't work for whatever reason. And I understand that. But now we have to move forward. So we're going to set healthy boundaries. We're going to respect each other. And I'm going to love you with the love of Christ. And I'm going to keep it moving, because that's what's going to keep this smile on my face and making me look like not what I've been through, right? So that's the thing.
That's good.
The thing.
That's good. That's really, really good. Because I think a lot of times, if we can think about children, if we can think about legacy, if we can think about, you're Gigi, I'm a Gigi, if we could think about, what's really important, even if a divorce takes place, even if a separation takes place, what is God requiring of me? What is God requiring of the next person as a believer? What does the love of Christ look like? And you can have boundaries. You can have good, healthy boundaries and still display the love of Christ. And I have women sometimes to say, but what if they ain't acting right? Well, you can't control them.
Can't control them.
Would you agree to that? You can only control you.
Absolutely, I can agree with that. It's funny, and I want to be transparent, but I want to be respectful of who the other parties are. But it's tough to be, because I was disrespected, and I still had to love beyond that, and still keep my mouth quiet. I was quiet, and all of that, being disrespected, and all of that, but I still stayed quiet. But as God does not want us to be quiet all the time. That's not a reason to be quiet. That's condoning the behavior, but it's how we speak to that other person. And you can still speak to them in love and speak to them with respect and let them know this is how it's going to roll. Now, like you say, we cannot control how they are, but I'm telling you, no one can go against the love of Christ. No one can go against someone being kind to them. No one can do that. So, but if they are, they just pure evil then, but if you're nice to them, you're loving them, and you setting the boundaries, respect is there. And then the most important thing is we have to let them know the kids is the most important thing in this. I've had a divorce. My parents were divorced, so I know what it feels like as a child. We don't understand. Children don't say it all, and they're not going to talk about it a lot, is that we're hurt. They hurting in the inside. They don't want, children never want to see their parents get divorced. So we have to be on our best behavior when it comes to the children. Understand it's all about the kids.
That is so powerful. It's about legacy. It's about legacy.
Absolutely.
So what would you say, because I meet a lot of women, and like you, I'm a minister also. So I'm always, in circles of people who have had trauma, even men who have had trauma. And even as recent, I was in a situation, and, I was being, shared information where it was hard to let go, even years later, even after the divorce. People are struggling how to move on, how to let go of past relationships. What advice do you have for people that are still experiencing soul ties and don't know how to move forward?
So the most important thing, because I think I felt in the beginning that I was dealing with the same thing. But it's very important if you know who you are. So first of all, you got to know who you are. A lot of people still don't know who they are. That's why it's hard for them to let go of their ex-spouses, because they don't know who they are. And now when you come into knowing who you are and whose you are, and know that God will still bless you, you can still be blessed with another mate if that's what you want, then it'll be easy. That's what it was for me. I still trusted God. I had that glimmer of hope. So it was easy for me to let go. Each and every one of them, all four of them. It was easy. Because I came into myself. I know who I was. I know who I was to Christ. And I knew he had the best for me, and he was going to bless me eventually when I got it. And I finally got it. So he was able to bless me. But a lot of times people don't know who they are. Let me tell you, when you become the Bible says the two shall become one. So if you've been there for a long time, you are now one. So it's hard to peel apart. You became that person. Like I said, you become versions of yourself, but then you're still one with this person. But once you connect with God and say, God, show me who I am. Show me who I am. Show me what I'm supposed to be doing. And when you come into yourself and loving yourself, it'll be easy to pull apart.
I really agree with that, because I think, when you look at the pros and the cons in relationships, and you have damaging cons. I've seen some from, in sharing and talking with women, from abuse,
Mm-hmm.
physically, verbally,
Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
to adultery,
Yeah.
to harming children,
Oh,
I mean, just some real, like, serious things. And they're saying it's hard to let go.
mhm.
I can't let go. And when you look at the pros and the cons, then you have to say, well, there is something broken in me.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at these cons
Yeah.
and they're life threatening,
Yeah.
emotionally, mentally,
Yeah.
spiritually, financially, being abandoned financially, and so many things, I love the fact that you keep redirecting us back to, you got to look within.
Yeah.
Where's the
Look
self
here.
love? Where's the self acceptance? Do you know who you are in Christ? It's a brokenness. Something broke. And you mentioned earlier, when you saw your parents go through, when you saw
Yeah.
your mom go through the
Yeah.
divorce, how that broken you. So would you suggest that sometimes people may need therapy, who are in this stuck position, or a good coach like yourself, like myself, to help get them out of that stuck position to get to their next?
Absolutely. And I've been through therapy. I had to go through therapy. And a lot of people, they hear therapy and like, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm not crazy. No, it's helping you to see
Mhm.
beyond, what you're going through. They're trying to help you out of that or help pull you out. But it is very important. I would recommend therapy to anyone, because a lot of times you can't get to where you need to be unless you're talking about it. So talk to somebody you don't know, because a lot of times you're like, oh, they're just saying that just because. It might be family or a best friend. Go to somebody you don't know and have a
Mhm.
conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Really
think it's
good.
very important. And also go through
Mhm.
coaching, because coaching that gives you so many steps in helping you heal. Because the thing is, we have got to heal so we can win. We cannot win unless we heal.
Mm. Ooh. To have a mindset for millions, we have to be whole. We
Absolutely.
have to be willing to at least to be on our healing journey. And it doesn't mean that everything is perfect now so we can win. It just means we're not quitting. We're not giving up. I
Right.
got to ask you this now. I got to ask you this, because I know this has been the case for me, because we're very transparent on Mindset to Millions. I
Mm-hmm.
know for me, in going through divorce, there came times where I said, I'm good, I'm Gucci, I don't even want nobody to look at me, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you felt like that at certain moments, especially being divorced 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that way, or were you always saying, "Oh, I'm open"? Like, yeah.
I did. So it took me 6 long years. So when I between the third and the fourth one, took me 6 long years. I said, not to say they didn't come for me. They came and I was like, no, can we have your number? No, you cannot. Can I be your friend? Nope. I have Jesus and that's all the friend I need. And I was very intentional about that. I didn't want to date anyone. I needed to
Mhm.
know how I can appreciate myself being single. We have to get to a place. A lot of us are not in that place that we're okay with being single. And I
Mhm.
do understand loneliness creeps up. It happened to me. But if you're being intentional about it, I wanted to be single for that amount of time. I needed to date God. And I know a lot of people say, what does that look like? Or what does that mean to date God? Well, that means not shutting down to all the distractions on the outside as far
Mhm.
as thinking about another mate. Don't think about that. I took my mind completely off of that. I'm good. It's going to be me and God dating, because I know he ain't going to do me wrong. Right. So it was being him, and I prayed and I
Mhm.
journaled, I meditated, I
Mhm.
fasted, I exercised, I did all
Mhm.
these things, and then I finally got to a place like, okay, I'm ready. It took me 6 long years though for me to be
Wow.
ready again. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that. But you took the time for you. And I think the flip side of that, I was talking to a therapist. We was just having some conversation. And the conversation went sort of like this: for women and men who are valuable in the earth, and they add to the earth, to become bitter, to say, I'm never doing that again, or to shut yourself off, you're missing out on opportunities to love and to be loved. You're missing out on opportunities to grow and to help others grow, because a good friend of mine, Michelle, always says, you don't know yourself by yourself. By yourself, you can feel like, oh, I'm good, I'm perfect, there's nothing wrong with me. But then when you get in communion with another individual, iron sharper than iron, you start seeing some things about yourself that you didn't even know that was there. But I love what you're saying. You got to take the time to heal. You got to take the time to be. One of the things I want to add to, so many things are jumping in my head. I think too, a lot of times, because I've seen this happen in my own personal life. As a Christian, as a believer, and you grew up in church, and we have theories and ideas, and we know God hates divorce. That's scripture. But what people don't understand is God do not care for his daughter or his son being abused, or being belittled or harmed, or whatever the case is. So the Black church don't really talk about that. They just say God hates divorce. And so I've seen people literally, I remember when I got divorced, coming at me saying, God hates divorce, and you can't be winning in life and not thinking about marriage, and I'm thinking, first of y'all don't have no idea or any clue, what people walk through. You don't know what happened, but you're putting that scripture out there saying God hates divorce. So even in that, you're a woman of faith, you're in all these different circles that I'm talking about. What can the body of Christ do? What can the church do? What can spiritual leaders do a better job at in helping people who are walking through these transitions, and maybe teaching and sharing with people who have no clue, and they just kind of come at you and throw things out at you, not even knowing if you might be getting beat up over there.
Come on. Yeah. And you know what? It's funny that you say that, because that was one thing that I always had an issue with, being in church and being married 5 times. I would have thought by the second or the third, somebody's pulling me to the side in church saying, hold on, baby girl, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. One thing I know, and one thing I stand by, is marriages and relationships, that's God's playing field. A lot of times we're going to the wrong sources to get information about marriages and relationships when we're supposed to be seeking God, right? But in the church, they need to be preparing people more. They need to have more focus groups, life groups, helping them before they even get married. Because a lot of stuff is not taught. As you state, they're not talking about this in the church, because they just think marriage, you're supposed to be married and you stay married. That's it. But they're not talking about the struggles that you go through. Because a lot of times, myself, I've been through 2 abusive marriages. I've been through one. He wasn't sure whether he wanted a woman or a man. So I look, and I think what they don't understand is we need to be discussing this in the church. The church is where a lot of people are running to for help, but they're not getting the help that they need. So they say, why do I need to go to church? I could just be where I am. I don't have to be at church, because I do better out in the world than in church, because we're not talking about it. We're not educating the young folks about this, or even the older ones that are grew up, because they're stuck. They're stuck in that mindset. No, you stay married. Once married, you stay there, whether it's abusive. And that's not what God intends for us. It is not. It is not adultery, which he talks about that. That's the way out. But being abused and all, no.
I tell you what, the fact that your transparency is just on like a level 10. And for those who are joining in, matter of fact, let me welcome some people that are joining in. So good to see our fearless leader and owner, Coach Rich, is on tonight. He says, good evening.
Good evening.
I love this. Katessa said, we have to learn to be unbothered. unbothered by them and focus on him. That girl, that's a tweet right there.
That is.
Unbothered by them and focus on him. Good to see Christina on the night. She says, many blessings to you, Marquette. Yes, yes, yes. Contessa said, transparency sets you free. Gabe says, God first. Yes, beautiful butterfly said, all of this is so true. So people are hearing you. People are listening. People are, saying, yes, how can I help my sister, my brother? How can I help myself? And then we're speaking ministerially from a church point of view, and we're thinking about mindset to millions, how to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And all of this plays a role. But I said all that to say, I met your husband and I met you. And, when we were at the event in DMV the other week, I talked about the number 5 stands for grace. And I got on my 5 earrings tonight, my Chanel number 5 earrings. And you are in your 5th marriage, but you are experiencing grace. You talked about how your husband take care of you. You are feeling protected and excited about where you are going, and even excited enough and transparent enough to say where you have been. And he be, listen, y'all, listen, he be right there beside her, supporting her, taking pictures. When I bought her book, he was like, come on, y'all got to get a picture, and that just blesses me. How did you come to the conclusion after the losses, after the hurts? I love the fact that you're transparent enough to say you were in one marriage where the person didn't know what they wanted, whether it was a man or a woman. I mean, abuse in so many different circumstances and situations. How did you get to the point where you knew that this man of God was D1?
So it's so funny. We were, and this was during COVID. So churches was out, we were online. But they still, at our church, they still had the production team going in, media and all of that. And he just started going to our church. His cousin was going to our church, and he was on the he was playing the bass for our praise and worship. And so we needed camera. So long story short, brought him, he came in. So I had to do a life group. It was so crazy. I did Michael Todd's what was the name of his oh my goodness, I can't even think of it right now, but I tell you, we did a life group, me and another sister at the church, and it was about relationship goals. We was doing a life group on that. But anyway, he was there. They had to, we wanted to put some advertisement out there, so we needed a commercial and a video and some pictures. Well, he happened to be there, and I was running in trying to get this stuff done, and I saw him, and God showed me his heart. Like, he was standing on stage, and I was like, oh my goodness. And and I didn't think anything of it, because right then I wasn't ready yet. But God showed me his heart, and you could just see he had an amazing heart. And then after that, long story short, we put that out. Then I had the life group, and then it was this joker in the life group trying to send me flowers, reaching out to my assistant where she lives. No, send flowers to my job. I said, this joker is jacked up, and I just knew it. Come to find out, his girlfriend invited him to the life group, and she was on just foolishness, right?
Right.
And so then I had my pastor come on as a guest speaker, and I showed him this guy. He's like, yeah, he jacked up. You can do better than that. Yeah, he got some stuff going with him. And so I told him about my husband. I said, there's something about him. And he said, it's so funny you say that, because my wife said that he will be amazing. He will be awesome for Marquette.
Oh,
but
my
he said,
goodness.
Yes, he said, we're not going to do no matching. We're going to let God do the matching, right? So my pastor called him out and prophesied to him, and we was home, and I saw him on TV, and I'm like, oh my God, that's that guy. That's that guy, right? But anyway, I was doing serving on hospitality team then. And of course, it wasn't no people at church, but it was the dream team. They call them the dream team. And so I was like, my pastor said, will you come work side by and be an apprentice and help them with the video? And I was like, God, that's not me. I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that. So my pastor called back and said, you know what? Y'all came up in my prayer time. No, that's not a good idea. I'm like, God, you heard me, you know. And so I said, but y'all still gotta eat though. And then my pastor said Ruth was in the field when she met her Boaz. I was
Come
right
on
at
now.
so I started coming back doing cooking and stuff. And then I noticed that he didn't eat though the first few times. And I'm like, everybody else eating, but he didn't eat. So I said, I'm going to ask him. So I said, did you want something to eat or have something to eat? He said, I'm not a breakfast person. And so long story short, I had some fruit left. He ate the fruit and then we were talking. And then I think we just kind of spoke here and there. And then my girls, I manage at Duke. So my team, a couple of my team members like, just send them a message. And I'm like, no, who does that? We don't do that. We don't send a guy a message. This is 2020. You better send him a message. So I sent him a message. They said if he responds in less than 5 minutes, he's interested. So he responded in 2. I said, well, he
All
must
right
be
now, come on, girl.
and then that's all she wrote from there. We've been connected every since then. We were talking during COVID, and we just kind of fell in love just with our conversation, talking. And we spent hours and hours just video chatting on the phone. We didn't meet up or anything. I ended up getting COVID. He ended up bringing me groceries and left them there at my place. It was amazing. And one thing that I loved about him is that I made up in my mind that I was going to do it the right way. And I said, we can't sleep together before we get married. He was like, I'm so glad you said that. I was hoping that you were Christian enough that I wouldn't have to worry about that because he got tired of sleeping around.
Wow.
And
Isn't that awesome?
together. Yes. So it was amazing. And so I tell people, do not give up on hope. This is God's playing field. If you stay connected to God and keep that hope going, trust me, you can have the same thing I have.
Ooh, well, she's preaching good. God's playing field. And I've met him, and you all are a beautiful couple. And I know what you're saying. There is like a humility about him that you see it as soon as you meet him. So this is so good. This is so good. Oh my goodness, we only got 9 minutes left. I have more questions. Let me take a look in the chat. I don't want to miss any questions. If you have any questions, jump in. Please feel free to do so. So as we are wrapping up, I think I'm gonna ask 1 or 2 more questions, and then of course we want to hear what you got going on. How can they get this book? I got my book by my nightstand, girl. I'm in that book. Yes, 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 yes. So how can someone, and you talked a little bit about people rediscovering their identity, after divorce. I remember when I got divorced in 2007 and I was building a house. And so the builder asked me, I had a paint allowance, what colors did I want the wall? And I was like, I don't know. And I had to ask myself, well, what color do I like? Because I was in that relationship for 18 years and we did everything collectively. I had to rediscover what I like, what I didn't like, and all that good stuff. How can people rediscover their identity and maybe even their purpose after divorce? Because, in another marriage for me, we did ministry together. And so, when you make these transitions, how do you know how to reconnect with yourself and whatever it is that you are supposed to be doing next?
You know what? Because one thing that you will realize is that you feel when you separate from someone, you feel like there's something missing. So in that time of feeling like something is missing, that's to reconnect your focus on God. Because I always tell you, like I stated before, this is God's playing field. Whether you're in a relationship or not, we still need to stay connected with the source. And so if you can stay connected with the source, He's going to show you who you are. He's going to show you what your purpose is. And then it's also in that healing process. Once you start healing, that's the thing. That's when everything starts coming out like, oh, I do like purple instead of pink, or I do like yellow instead of orange, right? Or that's my color, brown or black, because now you're coming into yourself. You're starting to know who you are. And God is showing you, He will drop all the downloads and give you the nuggets and let you know, baby, this is what it is. Here's your purpose. And this is what I planted on the inside of you. But it's not until you reconnect to that source who's created all of that.
That is so good. And that's exactly what Beautiful Butterfly said. Having a personal relationship with God is so important. It's so awesome because that's what's going to lead you to figure out what your next will look like.
Yes,
So, thinking about forgiveness, you talked about that early on, and I agree with everything that you said. You talked about forgiving yourself. What
yes,
about forgiving the other person who maybe you may feel in your head that it was all their fault, even though you know it takes two to make a marriage work, it takes
right.
two to end a marriage. How can people out there that are holding on to this hurt, this unforgiveness, like, I can't believe this happened to me, and they're steady going around talking. Like I hear so
Mhm.
many talking heads. Y'all been divorced for 25 years and you still talking trash about the woman or the man.
Yeah.
How does forgiveness play a role in the healing process after a divorce?
My God, that is one of the most important things. We have got to forgive in order. That's a part of your healing process. And it takes me back to my father. I told you that my dad divorced my mom, and my mom went through all of that. And I couldn't stand I did not like my father. I mean, it was resentment, bitterness, all
Mm,
kind of stuff. But it wasn't until I called my dad back to ask for forgiveness, and that's when God started to move me in the
mm,
direction that I needed to go in and be able to cut all this old stuff off. But if you're holding on to that, first of all, you're binding your own self up. Why
mm.
are you wasting your
That's
God-given
good.
time on past? If you stay stuck in the past, you can't see what's in front of you. And God can have something so awesomely amazing right in front of you, but we too busy looking in our rear view and can't
Mhm,
see what's in front of us. And so
mhm.
it is very important that we forgive. We have got to forgive no matter what it was, no matter
Yeah.
how it felt, what you went through. I mean, I've been through some. If I told you my whole story, that you'll understand. You're like, how in the world can you forgive after all of that?
Mm,
But I
mm,
knew it was very important for me to get to where I am right now. That I was able to write a book, where I was able to start a coaching course of winning women, or be able to be a minister in the church, or be able to be a motivational speaker. You cannot do all of this harboring unforgiveness because you're
mm.
too bound up. You're too bound up. You got to let all that stuff go so you can be released to move forward.
Mm. I tell you what, divorced but not defeated. That's who this woman of God is. She's on so many platforms. I've had a chance to share a stage with her. She's been married 5 times. She's happily married. She's walking in grace and obedience, and she's sharing her story unapologetically. And my heart is just filled with so much joy in having you on the platform. People want your book. People want to know, how can they get in contact with you? How can you coach them, help coach them to their next? They may be going through a divorce, or maybe they are over. They've divorced, but they're still struggling with the doubt, the fear, the unbelief. They don't know how to focus on their goals and their dreams despite going through lifing. How can they
Yes.
reach out to you? We want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can definitely reach out to me on Facebook. I'm under Marquette L Walker. You can also find me, Marquette L Walker Ministries, both on Facebook. Most importantly is my website, Marquette L Walker Ministries.com. And on there, you will be able to read about my coaching class. And also, you will be able to purchase my book through my website as well. We also have it on Amazon. It will be on some other uh, platforms soon, but it is
Mhm.
on Amazon. But it's definitely on the website. You'll be able to get it on my website. You can find me on LinkedIn, on IG under Marquette L Walker. On both of those platforms. TikTok, we gotta reach the young ones too. I'm on TikTok
That's
as
right.
well under ML Walker. So you'll find me out there as well.
Do me a favor, Marquette.
Uh-huh.
Spell your name, spell your website in case people, because I was calling you
Yeah.
Marquetta for a while. So spell that out for the people in the back.
Absolutely. So my website is MarquetteL as in love Walker Walker Ministries, and that's MIN. Wait, MINISTRIES.
That's right. You all heard it from her. And another fun fact as we're wrapping up in the next 60 seconds, she is a twin. So it's another beautiful one of her walking around here in the earth. But lady, I am grateful. I am honored. I am loving your book. I'm highlighting. I'm taking notes. I'm jotting this down. I'm going to have the opportunity to sit with you really soon. But thank you for coming to the show on tonight. People have been blessed. Beautiful Butterfly says, God can forgive you. Who are you not to forgive others? All have fallen short of the glory of God. So people have been so blessed by your testimony, by your story. The number 5, I got on my 5 earrings with you in mind on tonight. You are experiencing grace. And when we grow up, we're going to be just like you, boo.
Bless you. Bless you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure and an honor to be a part of this amazing platform.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have been with Dr. Tammie Harris with Mindset to Millions. Join us again next Monday night, 8 p.m. We are always bringing on people that's helping you to shift your mindset. As always, I'll see you at the top. Good night.